want to do this. But actually, I think he was so grateful to Martin King for making that pressure build up so that he could be in the position of saying, I had to do it. At the time he got that bill through Congress, it had sailed through. Do any of you remember the speech that he made in August, the day he signed that bill, and the speech he made to a national audience? And you ought to remember that. The end of it is reproduced in this film. And I'm not sure I can. He gives an accounting of all the things that led up to the passage of this bill and all the old wrongs against African Americans. And then he winds up, his last line is, and we shall overcome. In the film, it shows black people sitting around their TV sets with tears running. And I have to tell you, they were running down mine. It was a great moment, and it all started there on Bloody Sunday. It's Selma, Alabama, that quiet little town in South Alabama.
After that death, and the film has made it back to television, and most people are seeing all hell breaking loose. I don't know if you went to the tally ho that night and Unbound. Did not. You have a wife in Atlanta who you haven't seen for a bit. Did you call her?
Did I call you?
Have you been blind? And how do you let loved ones know you're okay?
Actually, I know I called her because I was under orders from my boss to call. In fact, that was a rule that the Times had in those days. The national editor made sure every national reporter called home at the end of the day. Did you know that about Clark City? Yeah. The national editor. He had been there himself. He knew how important it was that these roving reporters not get very far from home spiritually. That they needed to reestablish that contact every day. Because I can't really explain how it works, but you need to know that you're not just this guy out in Selma or wherever, Your name is Roy Reed, and you're married to Norma Reed, and your kids are Johnny and Cindy, and they mattered to me. And Sinton, who had been there, understood the importance of that. He ordered all of us to call home once a day. So I know I must have called home that night. I never crossed the call Sinton.
If it was a day where there was going to be a march or speech, you knew what you were going to do. But as you're trying to capture the mood of what is happening in the South, and say there was a day, I don't know, perhaps there weren't any days where there wasn't anything scheduled. What would you wake up and do if there wasn't a specific event?
Well, first of all, there was always something to be done. Be caught up on some story that you had to postpone. And in the case of the civil rights movement, the stories, if it's just a march where nothing happened, and these were challenging days when nothing really happened, because you've got the task of trying to make it sound new. We didn't lie. We didn't lie about it. We didn't come out and say, folks, nothing new to report here today. But you found some little new angle to lead the story with and develop. And it wasn't hard to find those things, because you always had things in your notebook that you never got around to using. Yeah, but it was a 7-day-a-week job, as long as it went on.
You mentioned Bloody Sunday began to change, make it a national discussion. Could you tell in the South that anyone's minds were changing over time? Did attitudes change or shift?
Yes and no. I think the minds of the white supremacists did not change, not a whit. If anything, they dug in. but there were millions of white Southerners who were not these never-enders, not these die-hard, you know. And they became more open. Naturally, they were timid. They didn't want to speak up. The Klan might burn a cross in your yard, or your congregation might rise up against you and run you out of town. So they were naturally reluctant. But gradually, people began to get their nerve and began to speak up. And there would be more and more people like in Little Rock. There were always a handful of churches, for example, who tried to stand up against Governor Faubus and for integration of schools. And as time went on, there were more, you know, one or two more churches, one or two more pastors. At least one of them lost his church because he was too brave. Our pastor lost 10% of his congregation over a sermon one day, one Sunday. He preached a sermon that made that many people in the congregation angry enough to cancel their membership and walk out and never came back.
It's sometimes hard. I'm in my early 50s, and so I was just a child when this was happening. It's hard for those of us my age and younger to fully understand what was at stake and what was happening at that time. So many of us can take for granted things that have come out of that evolution, but at the time it was high stakes.
Oh yeah. And it took a while. It didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It did not. There were a few events like Pettus Bridge where it did happen overnight. That was a national change and almost immediate. You could see it. And people from all over the north joined the march and came down by the but mainly it was a gradual thing. It was learned papers have been written about it, books have been written. I have to tell you one story from this is in this book, story about some of you old enough to remember can recall this. At the end of the March of Montgomery, the march had gone right up to the Capitol steps. And I took Vincent up there, by the way, and showed him where there's a star at the top of the steps before you go in the doors. That marks the spot where Jefferson Davis took the oath of office, President of the Confederacy, and it is sacred ground in Alabama to this day. Yeah. George Wallace, Governor George Wallace, was standing behind the drapes watching this horde of people, like 25,000 march up Dexter Avenue. And luckily for the Times, we had a reporter named Ben Franklin who had got on George's side years before, and he allowed Ben to be up there with him, and Ben got this terrific sidebar about, George Wallace watching history being made out there on his capital. So it all ended there with Martin King giving one more terrific speech. And then everybody scattered and headed home, bus stations, trains, airplanes. And all of us reporters and television people and the 2 or 3 radio people, but there were never more than just 2 or 3 radio people. I don't know why. I guess it was so much a television story. Anyway, all of us were gathered at the Elite Cafe, E-L-I-T-E, Elite Cafe. Called Alabama's Liquor Laws, one of the handful of places where you could have martini. And it was served in a coffee cup. And we were all there, and just not really, I don't think any of us had finished our dinner. when John Doerr was called to the telephone. John Doerr was the Justice Department guy on the scene. He was sent down there to oversee the whole march and make sure everything. And he was the federal presence and a hero of mine, by the way, and a great human being. He hung up the phone and went from table to table and told all of us reporters what the telephone call was about. Mrs. Viola Liuzzo, a white mother of 6 from Detroit, who had joined the throne to come down to help out in the march, had been shot to death on the highway between Selma and Montgomery. A car full of Ku Klux Klansmen had pulled alongside her, and one of them rolled the window down and leaned out and shot her dead. And quick footnote, unknown to the guy who did the shooting and the other 2 of the others, there was an FBI informant in the car pretending to be a Klansman. And so they were brought to justice, not exactly, but that night, when the word spread that she had been killed, we all had to get up and go back to work. And when I took Vincent down there, I made sure to stop at the place on the side of the road where she was shot to death. Actually, not where she was shot. She was shot at the bottom of a slope in the highway. And her car drifted out of control another 300 or 400 yards up the road and went off the road and into a fence and stopped. She had a young black man with her. She had been ferrying people back and forth to Selma to Montgomery to catch planes, that kind of thing. She was making her last trip of the day. This happened. The young black fellow was about 18, 19 years old, terrified as you might expect, managed to get out of the car and run off across a pasture and into some brush, because they were after him. They wanted to kill him too. And he lived to tell the story. So we all had to, that was the way we ended our day. Instead of on a triumphal note, one great story ended, instead it ended like that. And I showed Vincent the marker on the highway that now there's a proper plaque with telling the whole story about, about 100 words as you get on the plaque. An honest accounting of who she was and what happened there that day. Here in South Alabama. It's a public place, and tourists are invited to stop and see where this little bit of history was made. And that told me, and I told Vincent that this, I would not have believed 50 years ago this would be possible in Alabama, even 50 years hence. But it's changed that much. And that's the way Vincent and I found Selma. That whole, incredible trip. I'm so glad we had been telling Tom about it.
Well, we're passing, but I want to ask about one other story that you told me when I was in your journalism classics class 31 years ago. And I think your memory's better than mine. You remember the E-Light and the Tally-Ho and all of this. I don't want to give away too many details to spoil the story, and I actually just personally want to hear this story again, but I believe there was a time when you were on this beat when the editors of the New York Times didn't believe a story that you had witnessed. Without giving away too much, someone who was believed to have been fatally injured. Is this ringing a bell? And you...
Yo, yes, okay. Y'all remember James Meredith? Yes. Who integrated the Ole Miss way back in 62 or 3, I forget. And in 1966, I think it was June of 66, James Meredith, who had been living in New York City, came back home and announced that he was going to march the whole length of his home state of Mississippi and just proved that he could do it. Well, they proved him wrong first day out. He started out from Memphis, and I and a whole bunch of other reporters and photographers were there, and we followed him down the highway. And a lot of you know this, but the state line between Tennessee and Mississippi is just really in the suburbs of Memphis, just a few miles down there. And then you're in Mississippi. And he made it, I think he made it all of 12 miles into the state of Mississippi before somebody shot him, proving that no, you can't do this, James. Not yet, not yet. Didn't hurt him very bad, but some poor young reporter, I felt so sorry for the kid. He was a new kid on the United Press International. Is Judy Carey here? Judy? Yeah. You remember when the United Press was UPI. Well, I hate to tell you, but, and I know Bob Carey would have been as embarrassed as I was over this, but in those days, the wire services had their offices in the newsrooms of the major newspapers. In the case of Memphis, Memphis Commercial Appeal, and both the Associated Press and the United Press had their offices in the newsroom. And this young reporter for UPI was walking past one of the Commercial Appeal's desk and overheard that they shot Meredith. And he understood, he misheard. He thought they killed Meredith. He ran to his wireless apparatus and typed out a bulletin, all voice. Meredith shot dead. Oh, that poor guy. Can you imagine? But, you don't assume anything, but he thought he heard what he didn't hear. Well, it was about an hour before I could find my way to a telephone. Shall I tell the whole story?
Great story.
Well, it's embarrassing, but I was not there where I got shot. I was on a car, taking it easy, instead of walking every step of the way. And I would drive behind the march for a while, and then I'd go ahead and wait for it to catch up, and then fall back. It was a hot, miserable day, and I had 3 other media people with me, a photographer, maybe a couple of other reporters. And I'd like to say it was not my decision, but we stopped at a little country store and got some cold drinks. And while we were in that store, one of our group looked up and said, "Why are those people running?" They were running going down the road. Well, they were running to the scene where James Meredith had been shot. So we went hurrying down there in my car, and I got us all there in time to establish that James Meredith was not killed. In fact, he wasn't even seriously injured. He had a back full of bird shot. They took the hospital in Memphis the better part of the day, I think, to pick them all out one by one. But I heard him on the ground trying to say something. I don't think he was talking to me, but he was talking to somebody. So I knew he was alive. So when I finally reached the telephone, and you had to find a payphone somewhere, on the side of the road, and called in, I got Claude Sitton, the national editor, on the phone. And he didn't ask me where I was or anything. He said, "Is he alive or dead?" And I said, "He's alive." He said, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I heard him talking." "Hold on." He ran to across the room. The Times had a radio station in those days, and they were on the verge of airing the false news.
Because they'd gotten the wire copy.
They'd got the wire copy that he was dead. And Claude was running over to the WQXR's desk and said, "He's alive, he's alive." So our radio station was the only broadcast station in New York who got it right. And for that, I won a publisher's prize. Never mind that, I was not really And my buddies, who, my friends that left, Jack Nelson and Gene Roberts and a bunch of them, decided to give me a special present at a going away party when I left Atlanta to move to Washington. And the present they gave me was somebody had got a hold of a Coca-Cola bottle.
Right.
And had it mounted in a plastic with the engraving. Claude had been looking at the pictures coming in on the wire photo machine, and none of them had me in the picture. All said somebody, "Where's Roy Reed?" So this thing had it engraved at the bottom, "Where's Roy Reed?" This reminds me of my dad.
Well, Roy, thank you so much for spending time.
Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it.
Good to see you. How you doing? Great. Good to see you. You did a good job over there.
Aubrey. Very nice to meet you just in the picture.